On today's show, I'm going to talk about 3 podcast episodes I just listened to that have some great advice on how people can stop seeing each other as enemies and actually find some common ground, communicate. They don't necessarily have to agree with one another. They don't even necessarily have to work with one another. We have to live with each other, see each other as people, empathize. The first podcast we're talking about is Simon Sinek's podcast, A Bit of Optimism. I love this podcast. I listen to it all the time. This one, Simon interviewed a guy named William Ury. Ury is a world-famous negotiator and author. He's one of the co-authors of one of the most popular negotiation books ever, Getting to Yes. One really interesting concept in the interview was that all types of negotiations are fundamentally the same. Whether you're negotiating with a family member, whether you're in a business negotiation, or trying to do peace talks. All 3 of these experts focus on the importance of listening to the other person. It's important to listen to the other person so you get where they're coming from. But maybe even more importantly, it's important to listen to the other person so they feel listened to. If they feel listened to, they're more likely to want to warm up to you. They're more likely to want to work with you. When you go to Thanksgiving dinner, if you're a Democrat, sit next to the Republican aunt of yours and actually ask them about their views. He characterizes it as meeting animosity with curiosity. Ask people questions about what they've gone through, about what their problems are. All right, on to the second podcast. James Altucher's show, interviewing Chris Voss. Chris Voss is a badass. He is an ex-FBI hostage negotiator who maybe about 10, 15 years ago decided to retire from that and take his talents to doing business and other stuff. He wrote a book called Never Split the Difference, and I have listened to it cover to cover. Anybody who knows me will tell you I'm constantly talking about all of his stuff. He is awesome. Chris Voss is all about listening. He says it right out there. Nobody listens. If you actually do listen, you're 1 in 20. Just being that 1 in 20 person who's listening already puts you in a special category, earns you points. You're already getting somewhere. Then he gets really interesting. He starts getting all neuroscience. He says, when people are listened to or feel they're being listened to, it produces oxytocin. Oxytocin bonds people with each other. If people feel bonded to you, then they're going to be more honest with you. It also produces serotonin. And serotonin, according to Voss, makes people think you're less demanding. So people feel bonded with you, people feel like you're being honest with them, and people feel like you're less demanding. It's beautiful. Now the negotiation really has a good chance. So the trick is this. You start the conversation by articulating what they think. You put the spotlight on them. So rather than starting it off with I say something, you say something, you just go at them and you say, look, I know you're doing this for a reason. You feel like you haven't been heard. You feel like your people have been persecuted. And all of a sudden, the person is feeling listened to. They didn't even say anything, but you're already listening to them. Now, maybe somebody might correct you and say, what are you saying? You don't know anything about me. And that's okay. If they correct you, you're giving them status. You're giving them a chance to be in control. And when people feel like they're in control, they'll relax and they'll open up to you. All right, time for podcast number 3, Getting Things Done, hosted by David Allen. He was interviewing Charles Duhigg, another amazing author. He wrote a book this year called Super Communicators. Love it. I keep listening to it over and over again. Charles Duhigg's thesis in the book is that the goal of conversations is not to change people's minds. It's to understand each other. Duhigg breaks conversations into 3 categories. There's social conversations, there's emotional conversations, and there's practical conversations. So social conversations is how we relate to one another. Practical conversations is solving problems. And emotional conversations is where we want people to hear our feelings, and we're not necessarily asking for them to solve a problem. One of the most important things you can do is when you're getting into a conversation, you have to figure out what kind of conversation you're having. For instance, he talked about in his book how he wanted to have a conversation with his wife and tell his wife how he was feeling. His wife was trying to solve the problem he was telling her. All he wanted was for her to listen. He's got this other thing in the book. I'm totally deviating for the podcast, but God, you got to read this book. He talks about a teacher. If somebody comes to the teacher and they want help, he's got the 3 H's. Do you need help? Do you need hugs? Or do you need me to hear? Hear, hugs, or help? So after you establish at the beginning of the conversation what kind of conversation you're having, it's going to make things a lot more smooth. You're going to get along with the other person. You're going to be speaking the same language, more or less. Another thing he talks about is asking deep questions. So deep questions are questions about how you feel about things. So for instance, if somebody's talking about their occupation, they're a lawyer. Well, how does it feel to be a lawyer? How does it feel when you win a case or when you lose a case? And he says when you ask how it feels, all of a sudden it just brings out this much deeper connection you have with other people. So Charles Duhigg finishes by saying that everybody has the ability to be a super communicator. And I think that's what this whole show I'm just making right here, talking about these 3 podcasts, is all about. These are skills we can learn. It's not like some people are meant to negotiate and some people are meant to empathize with other people and others aren't. These are things that we can develop as skills. I know this is the first video and we're getting acquainted with each other, but I think I'm going to give you guys a little homework. The next time you're having a little conflict or you're just trying to get to know somebody on a deeper level, why don't you try one of these things? Try to make somebody feel heard. Show some curiosity for their views, even when you think they're ridiculous. Just try it for the hell of it. Or you can use the Chris Voss method. When you get into a heated conversation, before the thing even gets going, tell the person where they're coming from and let them correct you if they want. And if you're starting a conversation and you're not exactly sure what you're doing, ask what it should be about. Do you want to be helped? Do you want to be hugged? Or do you want to be heard? And if you want to create an emotional bond quickly, ask deep questions. How do you feel about X? Yes, I'm talking about the social media platform, X. That would often create some sort of emotion, at least in some people. I hope you guys liked this video. Please subscribe and leave a comment.